All right, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to keep things kind of short, but this is an important video. This is where I'm going to show you how to set up your Raspberry Pi Pico for using with MicroPython, which is what we would be using in the rest of this series. So obviously for this video, you're going to need a Raspberry Pi Pico. If you don't have a Raspberry Pi Pico, you can simply use the simulator as we did in the last video. But today we're actually going to go in and set up the hardware if you have access to a Raspberry Pi Pico. So obviously, in order to use a Raspberry Pi Pico, let me show you what that would look like. Now, as I showed you in that short intro, that the version that I have here, it came as part of this kit, and it is available on Amazon for about $18. It does go up and down in price, but I have seen it as low as $14 during Black Friday. So if you need a Raspberry Pi Pico kit, you can pick this one up. But but you can get the Raspberry Pi Pico from anywhere, basically anywhere they are sold. If you have a Micro Center nearby, you can pick one up for $4. But the $4 version does not have the headers soldered in. So I suggest get the headers soldered in version, which is $1 more. So that's what I have here. In order to set this up, you're going to need to go to the Raspberry Pi Pico website and download a firmware file. So let me share my screen so you can see how that is done. So we're going to go search for Raspberry Pi Pico MicroPython. And that should take us directly to where we need to go. So there's the drag and drop MicroPython is what you're looking for. And notice that there are 4 different versions now. As of the making of this video, the Pico 2W is now out. I'm excited to get my hands on one of those. They're not available locally yet, but hopefully pretty soon they'll be available. But depending on which one you have, the base Pico is the $4 version or $5 if you want the headers soldered. Pico W, I believe, is $5 for normal, $6 if you want the headers soldered. Pico 2 is also $5 if I understand correctly, and Pico 2W is $7. And add $1 more if you want the headers soldered in. So I have the Pico, the base Pico here. So I'm just going to go ahead and download that. And as of making of this video, version 1.24.1 is out. So we're going to go ahead and install that one. So when you click on that, that is going to download a file called rpipico something something.uf2. So you're going to see that file in your downloads folder. Now, what you want to do is you want to, and this is the part that's important. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and hopefully this is pretty well visible, but this is the Raspberry Pi Pico with a bunch of things connected, but you're probably only going to have, at least at this point, all you need is just the chip itself connected via USB cable. But in order to install this file, this UF2 file that we just downloaded, you actually have to first disconnect the USB cable. Then what you will need to do is look at this little tiny button here, the white button. You're going to hold that button down and then connect the USB cable. And once you do that, you can release the button. And what will happen, let's share the screen again. And what you are going to see is it will look like as if you just connected an external drive or something. So if you bring up your Finder, whatever it is that you use, File Explorer, you will see that there is um, an external drive called RPi RP2, which is really not going to have any files on it. What you're going to do is you're going to go to your downloads folder and just simply drag and drop, that's why it's called that, drag and drop this UF2 file into that external drive. And when you do that, it is just going to copy that file over, and then it's just going to disconnect that one. And if you have a Windows or Mac, you'd probably get a warning saying your drive was disconnected without warning, and that's perfectly fine. You don't need to worry about that. Now, what you want to do is you're going to disconnect that again. And this time, you do not need to worry about holding down that button. Just simply connect it back. And from now on, all you need to do is just connect the Pico using just the USB cable without having to worry about pushing that button. Now, what you can do is go to whatever your browse your IDE of choice is. So you can use either Thonny or you can use Visual Studio Code, right? You can download and install these yourself. I'm not going to show you that process, but let me open up Thonny. And when I open up Thonny, I can go to, let's say, an empty project that I have created for this channel. And you see that I get this empty window of Thonny, but at the bottom right corner of Thonny, if you look at where it says local Python 3, which is usually typically what you would get when you freshly install Thonny. But if you click on that, you're going to see additional options. And if everything went right, you're going to see something that says Raspberry Pi Pico on it. And you're going to click on that. And when you do that, you will see that it gets connected and it says version 1.24.1, which is exactly the version that we downloaded and installed right now. Of course, I also see additional files on my Pico, which is from a previous project I was working on. You probably only see a main.py or maybe even nothing, which is perfectly fine. We are going to put more files in there as we go along. If you do not see this window, all you have to do is go to View and click on Files. Notice that I turned that off, and then I'm going to turn that back on, and now you will see the files on the Raspberry Pi Pico. Now, if you would rather use Visual Studio Code, same process, but for Visual Studio Code, you will need to use an add-on. So let's go to Visual Studio Code. What you're going to do is go under your extensions or add-ons. You're going to search for an add-on called MicroPico. And there it is, MicroPico. And you will say install. I already have it installed, but I can show you that process. Just click on install, and then it gets installed. And once you have it installed, what you are going to do is you will go to this top search bar, and you will say show and run commands, and you will click on MicroPico Connect. And when you do that, it's going to do the same thing. It'll at the bottom of the screen, it'll show you Pico is connected, and you can run whatever application you have displayed on here. Notice that you get the same prompt here, version 1.24.1 that we just installed. And if you do not want to have to do this connecting thing every time, what you could also do is go into MicroPico, show and run command, and then click on Set up MicroPico project. And when you do that, what you would see that a file called .micropico that gets created in your project folder. And that is just going to tell Visual Studio Code that this is a Raspberry Pi Pico project and automatically connect to your Raspberry Pi Pico if
one is connected. So that is all for today's video. We are actually going to do much more with this going forward. Hopefully, this is useful, and we'll see you in the next video.